Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, friends and colleagues from across the world. Welcome to our second session today with two superstars, and both happen to be from Portugal, Dr. Miguel Stanley and Dr. Raquel Zia. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here. Olá, Raquel, tudo bem?
Olá. We are talking Portuguese.
So for a change, we have actually two from the same country. From Porto, Dr. Zita today, live, and from Lisbon, Dr. Miguel Stanley. If you guys don't know Miguel Stanley, I'd like to take a quick comment. When we approached him for the top 100 doctors, he was very, very supportive. He was very supportive of this initiative, where we have been able to reach over 1 million of our doctors in a peer-to-peer format, utilizing our time and knowledge from COVID to improve ourselves for our patients and possibly affect hundreds of millions of patients subsequently. He is a dentist that many of us know as the dentist of Dr. Cristiano Ronaldo, the best player in the most exercise sport in the world, soccer. With that said, Dr. Zita can elaborate on his countless and endless credentials and dedication to the profession of dentistry. With that said, Raquel, you have the floor.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Depends on where you are in the world. So I'm here today to present Dr. Miguel Stanley. As everyone knows, he comes from Portugal, and he can work not only in Portugal. He has license to work in Portugal, in the UK, and in Dubai, and did already over 200 keynote lectures in more than 50 countries. This is like amazing. I wish one day I could reach that goal, Miguel.
You will.
I'm in the house, so
you will.
I will try. I will try. So Dr. Miguel is a dental surgeon with a passion for complex oral rehabilitation, who has a team that is highly specialized dentists, and I know them, and they are really, really good, that focus on everything from basic family dentistry to full mouth complex oral cosmetic rehabilitation. He trained as implant surgeon and cosmetic dentist, graduated in 1998, so some years ago. Dr. Stanley has become recognized opinion leader in the field of both cosmetic dentistry and complex implant surgery. And is opinion leader for many brands and many associations, and representing ambassador of many, many things. So for the past 15 years, he has been lecturing all around the world, sharing his passion in the field. And he has a lot of passion, you will see that. Even if you're not presential with him, you will see the passion, for sure. In recent years, Dr. Stanley has transitioned his practice and his team into the digital era, and he works basically in the digital workflow. Today, he has a team entirely dedicated to the complete digital workflow in dentistry. He created the concept of no half smiles, no half treatment, so the patient is a full thing, and you have to treatment as a whole. And also the slow dentistry concept, that is something that is going to talk today for sure, because after the COVID is going to be much more needed, the slow dentistry concept. And he's going to explain why. He is passionate about ethics in dentistry. And Dr. Stanley loves to share his vision with the younger future generations of dentists around the world. And he has a team that is a little bit young, but very, very experienced, and is a motivator for sure for the next generation. And it's a big pleasure for me as a Portuguese to introduce Dr. Stanley. And I will give him the word, and at the end I will come again. And if you want to do some questions to Miguel about his lecture or about his philosophy, please post the questions in the comments, and at the end we'll choose the best 2 or 3 questions to put to him. Okay, so thank you, Miguel, so much for accepting this challenge of helping us in this big concept. And the floor is yours. Thank you.
Well, first of all, thank you. You look fantastic. And
thank you. You are a gentleman, always.
I have to say I missed you, and I was happy to hear that your family are good and that you're now also slowly opening for business again, back to your patients that really are lucky to have you as well, you know. And I've The Portuguese word for proud is orgulho, and I'm also estou muito orgulhoso. I'm very proud of your career, your accomplishments, and I've seen you.
Thank you for trusting in me and always supporting me.
Yeah,
I really thankful.
you deserve it. In they always say, in your own backyard, you are never a hero. And it's nice. I know how important it is to get local support when you do fantastic things, and you've been doing fantastic things for a very long time. And I'm very, very pleased and honored that you would moderate this. I promise not to be too complex, because I saw the lineup. The lineup was absolutely phenomenal. And, there's some of the best guys in the world, if not the best guys in the world. And a big shout out to Keanor and his entire team. The top 100 concept, we were the only Portuguese guys on there. So congratulations. And, when he reached out, it was during the COVID virus outbreak. I was asked to do quite a lot of webinars, and I had a lot of fun. I learned a lot. I spoke to some amazing people. I learned so much, and there was almost information overload, because people are stuck at home with a lot of things to talk about. So I did 3 very interesting webinars for those people that want to hear about technology or implant dentistry or cosmetic dentistry. By all means, so I don't know what I'm doing here. By all means, feel free to what am I doing? How do I press play here?
You're doing great. Just the play button should get started.
All right, I'm pressing the play button. Yeah. So for those of you, how do I press play? Because this is somehow it's not working.
If you like, we can just upload it again. I can close it and you can share it again if you like.
Give me 1 second. If you don't have technical issues, can you see now?
That's it.
Done,
all right.
Done.
Okay.
Perfect.
So for those of you that want to understand a little bit more about my work and what I do, please feel free. Oi, what the hell's happening here?
Did you have a video?
Yeah. There we go. And now, can you see that? All right.
Yes.
A little bit of technical issues, not a problem. So this is my clinic where I work. This is video, obviously pre-COVID. I will have one post-COVID as the last video. But I run a clinic with 7 dental chairs. I'm very passionate about what we do. We have a lot of awesome technology, very, very advanced in terms of digital workflow. So my passion is implant dentistry, cosmetic dentistry, prosthodontics, but this is my endodontists. And, what we do is we do a lot of big full arch cases, bone regeneration, interdisciplinary dentistry. And if you want to see more of our workflow, feel free to go to miguelstanley.com. Again, miguelstanley.com, and you can see a lot of free content. There's some free webinars that I did. You can just go there and you can check out more of the technical stuff that we do at the White Clinic. But the reason why I'm here today isn't so much to talk about dentistry or to talk about the way that we do things at the clinic. I'm here to talk about something else, which I'm very passionate about, and I'm very grateful that the team allowed me to bring this topic. And for those of you that don't know, I also did a documentary with National Geographic called The Future of Dentistry. But check this out.
Please share your screen.
Field, which is pushing those boundaries further than most.
Hey, Miguel.
Yeah?
Can you put the play button on? We are missing your play button. We see you, but we don't see the show.
Presentation.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. That's it. That's it.
Now? Can you see
Yes.
these?
Yes.
Yes,
Correct.
yes.
All right.
Perfect.
Okay. Sorry for the technical issues. So I want to stay very much on point, and basically dentistry, I've been practicing for 20 years, and we've seen in the last decade, and even just in the last 5 years, so many new technologies coming to the market, CBCTs, scanners, milling machines, 3D printers, lasers. There's so much incredible technology hitting the market. Also, we have to talk about materials. There's a lot of new materials coming on the market, and a lot of new techniques. And for those surgeons out there, we've got the socket shield, we've got the pontic preservations, we've got different types of bone regeneration, a lot of different guided surgery, all of this. And then softwares, you've got your Nemotech from Biotech, you've got your ExoCAD, you've got a lot of amazing softwares that help integrate all of these things. And dentistry right now for me it's a really, really fun time to be a dentist. It's also a very stressful time to be a dentist. And remember, I'm talking pre-COVID here, a very stressful time because these things take time to integrate into your clinic. They cost a lot of money to acquire. Some of these things, actually, you have to put extra people on your team. But I have to ask this question: has dentistry really changed? I mean, we're evolving so much. We have so many new things. But it seems to me when I go on social media or I finish my lectures and I come out and you see people still have these fundamental questions. And we can go back to this one. These things cost a lot of money. Patients being able to do full arch dentistry is very expensive. And I fully understand that not everybody can do everything, and that not everybody wants to do fantastic dentistry, but depending on where you are in the world, things change. So I wanted to talk a little bit about some ideas that you can think about here. So let's break it down. I spent some soul searching. As Raquel said, I spend a lot of time on planes in between lectures. A lot of my patients think I'm always out of the office, but they forget that lectures are done on weekends. So we're not like normal people. We just have fewer weekends, but we work full weeks as well. And on those flights, I think about what is wrong with dentistry. Why are so many people stressed? Why is suicide? My friend Kyle Stanley, no relationship, from Los Angeles, said yesterday that professional suicide is 37% higher amongst dentists in the UK. And I know that in the UK and in England, that the stress amongst dentists is very, very high. They're being sued left, right, and center from patients. It's a very aggressive dental market. And so we've got all of that stress. And that's just running your business. But I wanted to think, why? Why are people so stressed? So let's think about what dentistry is. Why do people come to a dentist? Well, they can come for a random checkup, cosmetic work, ortho, missing teeth, accidents, second opinion, implants, bleaching, and even a combination of all of this. So what I do at my clinic is a combination of all of these things, meaning I have to be prepared for almost all of this. And that's what our training gives us. So we know that GPs, general practitioners, are overtaking specialists around the globe. And we call that, let's say, the super GP. He can do endodontics, he can do implants, he can do ortho. And thanks to technology and new materials and softwares, we can get to do a lot more than before. But the patient actually doesn't understand that as dentists, we have to be really, really trained to do so many different things. And at the end of the day, all they want is a beautiful, healthy, and affordable smile. But I started thinking quite a while back that I know, because when Uber came around in, let's say, 2010, 12, I realized that this rating system of the driver, so you jump into an Uber, before you've even got into the car, you know more about that driver. You know his name, you know his rating, you know how many trips he's done, what he's good at, before you get into the car, right? And the same thing about the driver. The driver also gets information about you. So we know less about our new patients. I'm talking about new patients that come to your clinic. You know less about them than you do about your Uber driver. And your Uber driver drives you for a few minutes, and you probably ever see him again. And there's a financial transaction. Well, we do a financial transaction that carries legal risks, health risks. It's a really serious profession, and we don't really know who comes into our practice. And if you think about it, they can be young, old, poor, rich, illiterate, or highly educated, not very intelligent, highly intelligent. They could never have been to the dentist in their lives or have lots of old treatments. which I believe is a very big issue in dentistry today. Baby boomers, people between 60 and 75 that have started doing dentistry in the 70s, endo in the 80s, crowns in the 90s, implants in the early 2000s, and now they have catastrophic failure of their dentistry. And, you know, this is a really big issue. There are people that are mentally stable, people that are unstable, that live close by or far away. And take a photograph of the screen and just think about it, because at the end of the day, every single variation of this can be combined of people that come to you for a whole different array of procedures. No wonder our job is stressful. We have to be prepared for all of this, but yet we are only trained to do medical and dental diagnostics, mechanical and biological, root canals, restorative, ortho, implants, etc., etc. Now, that means that what we're trained to do is clinical. Now, of course, there are some dentists that have MBAs and, you know, but most dentists that go into dentistry train to do only 1/3 of their daily stress, because most of the stress comes from the emotional aspects of dentistry, from your patients. You know, can I trust this person? Is it going to hurt? What's it going to look like? Will I feel okay? Let me get a second opinion. It's very, very stressful. And on top of it, the cost. We all know how prohibitively expensive most quality dentistry is, but a lot of people actually, and please go to miguelstanley.com. It's free, and you can see my no half smiles philosophy. And basically, I don't do finance-based dentistry. And that means that if a patient can't pay to do quality, I don't treat them. I'm very well known for saying that nobody has to place dental implants. Nobody has to do complex fixed restorative dentistry. You know, by all means, as long as you've got no bone infection, have a denture. Have a simple 3D or traditional acrylic denture. It's affordable. You can smile, you can chew. Definitely not the best solution in the world, but I'm more focused on health and than anything else. And I just think that a lot of dentists out there need to focus more on the clinical and less on the financial. And of course, what is asked of us from our patients? Please, doctor, I don't want any pain. Why are you 5 minutes late? You know, they're always angry if you're late. Don't take so many x-rays. I don't want you to make any mistakes. Everything has to look perfect. How many people can say that, you know, they've got a patient that has a destroyed smile? They spend all of their love, passion, time, energy, focus on making a beautiful smile. And then all of a sudden the patient becomes a cosmetic expert in the mirror, talking about zeniths and embrasures. And you're like, what the hell? You had no teeth a month ago, you know? And it's very, very difficult, these things, you know, and basically they want you to make them happy. They want it very fast. They want it cheap. They want you to alter insurance forms. That's why I've never worked with insurance companies in my life. And of course, everything has to last forever, even if their own biologically designed 10 million years of evolution dentistry, or if you think it came from God, whatever your religious denomination is, even the first solution didn't last forever. So there's no way that what we're going to do is last forever. And at the end of the day, they don't care about anything except financial understandings. And of course, I'm generalizing, but this philosophy leads to a lot of stress. And of course, what they don't care about is how hard we studied for, how difficult it is to make the correct diagnosis. Do I extract this tooth? Do I save this tooth? You know, I inherently believe every dentist in the world wants the best for their patients, you know, and it's really difficult to do the right thing. How much our training costs, how hard preparing for treatment is, how much technology costs. I know that's a very, very heavy thing. How much laboratory costs, what type of materials you use, who pays for failures when things go wrong. You can have a great surgeon places the best implants in the world, but if the prosthodontist places a bad crown with a marginal gap, and 10 years later there's failure around that implant, whose fault is it? You know, they don't care how much managing a clinic costs, or sadly, why you would take longer to do the right thing. So a big shout out to all the biomimetic dentists out there that spend all of this, you know, courses and stuff and training people to set up a rubber dam and spend, you know, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours to make a tooth look just like a tooth with, you know, manual adhesive dentistry. I find those guys geniuses, But that takes a long time. You can't do that in 30 minutes. You can't do that in 45 minutes, and that's the difference between somebody that's just doing drill, fill, pay the bill dentistry and somebody who's an artisan, a craftsman, and very passionate about quality. But what most dentists stupidly do when patients don't want to do the right thing, what do? Everything they ask to not lose the client and feed the competition. So many people are scared of losing patients because they can't afford the right thing that, they end up making mistakes. Yes, of course, I'll do your 4 front teeth without any, looking at your health issues, whatever. And I see this a lot in my practice. Just yesterday, I had a patient come to my clinic. He had done a full arch veneer case from second premolar to second premolar. The veneers were beautiful. I mean, beautiful, beautiful. One had popped off. And he'd come to ask me to re-cement it because he'd done the work in another country. And when I took the panoramic X-ray, which he'd never taken before, he had plaque and tartar buildup to the extent that he'd lost about 60% of his bone volume. His gums were completely inflamed, and nobody had ever mentioned this to him. And I just think that, that's not dentistry. That's just something else. And we need to kind of break the chain there a little bit. Now, what can unwanted patients do? Patients that create complications. They can cost you thousands of dollars or euros each single year through stress. So again, please go see my No Half Smiles lecture on miguelstanley.com, and you'll see the philosophy behind this concept. And I'm not monetizing it. It's just a philosophy. And if you see it, maybe it can help you improve the quality of care for your patients. Because this, for me, is the brain of many dentists around the world every single day before COVID, all right? And this image represents a hardworking person doing their best, trying to, provide for their family, trying to get from A to B, carrying this huge load. What is this load? It's, different treatment options, different selections of materials, trying to keep patients happy, trying to keep your boss happy, trying to keep, it's a really stressful job, and it's a very lonely job. And just a little shout out to why I love digital dentistry so much is because digital dentistry allows you to share with teams around the world, and you're not so alone anymore. So my slow dentistry vision and what it's become a global movement is to help reduce not all of the stress, but some of the stress that we're creating for ourselves. And I wanted to ask a question. How can we stop and also protect ourselves against unwanted patients? Meaning, how can we make our day a little bit less like this, be financially successful, and create happiness for our patients? Well, I guess the most obvious one is that you have to, have a good practice. You have to have a good team. You have to have good technology, a good lab, or, good protocols. Everything that I'm sure all of the fantastic dentists that have been on this amazing global project that Dr. Kiernor's put together have been speaking about. All of that matters. But I think that we have to filter a little bit better in the way that we manage our patients in the beginning of a relationship and the beginning of any treatment. So I think we need to talk more with our patients and slow down, because there's no police in dentistry. So what does that mean? Well, we're the only medical profession that doesn't really have any corporate governance or any due diligence done on this. We don't have any oversight. So if you go and ask 100 patients in any country, you say, who controls your dentistry? They'll probably say the local dental association of that country. But that's not actually true, is it? Because they're not over your shoulder monitoring every single procedure you do. So at the end of the day, it's your own ethics and your knowledge and your skill and the patient's investment capacities that dictate quality at the end of the day. Now, I'm nobody to come out and say what's the right treatment for any single procedure. I think there's enough evidence to go out there. And quite frankly, I could, some people could say, does digital dentistry make you better than analog dentistry? And the answer is no. Do I have to have a CBCT or do I have to have an intraoral scanner? No, you can outsource it. You can do great analog dentistry, and some of the thought leaders that I look up to did it for 20, 30 years, So, and does this material make you a better implant over that one? This material over that material? Or does this brand of implants better than that? I don't want to get into that discussion. And I wanted to understand what are the things that we are doing wrong that everybody knows they should do, and they're not doing. And that would improve the quality of dentistry at least a little bit. Because I personally believe that the patient-centric, biologically driven, scientific approach, always with the minimal invasive treatment design and slow dentistry patient preparation, focusing on delivering full mouth care, powered by awesome digital technology, new materials, software, and technology, is the new norm. Now, that's a big sentence. But right in the middle, you've got slow dentistry patient preparation. So I'm not going to talk about digital technologies, materials, softwares, because that all can be debated and discussed. And I'll get into what slow dentistry is in a bit. But what I wanted to talk about is very quickly here. If you want, you can pull out your iPhones, your smartphones, and photograph that QR code. I will show it again. And we were the very first association in the world to come up with 10 steps to fight cross-contamination in the dental practice. And just to be very clear, what I thought was very important, and our colleagues and our ambassadors thought that were very important, was things that wouldn't cost money, meaning that you wouldn't have to go any further than what you'd already been doing in the past. Because obviously, this is what our practice looks like today. We know that we have to have extraordinary new measures of protection. We have to see fewer patients because we've got to take care of our staff, guys. We can't just focus on getting high volume. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that. So what if I told you all that this is, we're now back open for business. We removed our front desk, so we've got no more receptionist. Everything's done remotely, but we didn't have to change our workflow from pre-COVID in terms of patient volume. Almost anything. I mean, we just got a few extra layers of protection. The PPIs, the PPEs, the face masks, and all of that. But we were already doing this before COVID. We've been doing this safe dentistry for 20 years. And I'll talk about that a little bit when I'm discussing with Raquel, because I think in a form of an interview, you can understand a little bit better. We have some amazing honorary global ambassadors. That's Dr. Mark Bowes from South Africa. That's Dr. Jamil Gardi from Scotland. And if you want to become a member or understand what this is about, you guys can very quickly here. Just give me a second. You can photograph this QR code right now, and that will take you to what slow dentistry is all about. Okay, and I'll advocate in a little bit what this is all about. So, slow dentistry has 4 basic cornerstones, and I'm gonna. Just give me a second. Give me 1 second. There we go. It has 4 basic cornerstones or pillars. And on the website, all of that information is there. So the 4 basic cornerstones are, first, a signed valid patient consent form. What am I talking about here? I don't think it's acceptable to do any form of dentistry or even oral hygiene without explaining all of the risks to your patient. I'm not talking about a standard, something you can print out that they have to read and sign. I'm talking about the doctor that is going to do the procedure, talking to the patient about what could go wrong. That a simple extraction can lead to a dry socket, or that an implant can fail due to, lack of integration. All of these things that can go wrong, even if that means spending an hour and a half with your patients. Talking to patients is very, very important. And I think I still today, I get patients that only a year ago did root canals and crowns and implants, and they don't know what was done with them. Their doctor never explained it. And I think that not only is it a great practice builder, but it also protects you and the patient against any issues, because sometimes you can avoid creating legal and complicated management issues down the line if, you know, your patient says, hey, at the end of the day, you know what, I don't want to do this treatment. It's better to not do a treatment than do a treatment that could create stress down the line. And that's what talking to your patients is all about. It doesn't cost any money. You don't need any technology. You don't need to master any skills. All you need is a little bit of extra time. And my suggestion is do not delegate that to a technical staff or a management personnel or your hygienist or your dental nurse. As wonderful as they are, you, the doctor, are responsible for that. So cornerstone number 1, valid signed consent. Cornerstone number 2, very simple, pain-free dentistry, meaning wait till your patient has had their anesthetic take its full effect. Now, we know that a good anesthetic in the upper quadrants takes only a few minutes to reach full effect. But if you've got an inflamed lower left molar, for example, and the tooth is inflamed, and you actually want to do a restoration and save the tooth, but you know that it's close to the pulpal chamber. So you're going to set up a rubber dam, you're going to do everything. We know that the deeper you get, patients can feel some pain. And in order to get complete anesthesia, it takes a nerve block. It takes, you know, up to 30 minutes to achieve full anesthesia. But if you're trying to squeeze in 20 patients a day, you're not going to wait that long. And if you're not going to wait that long, you're going to do 2 things. You're going to rush your treatment, and you're probably not going to remove all the carious lesion, or you'll probably just simply jump straight to root canal. And that's not what we train to do at school. No dentist on earth is trained to use a speedometer or a chronometer and is rated by the speed that they do their procedure with. So we'll get into that in a bit. But the second cornerstone, pain-free dentistry, you know, wait till the anesthetic takes full effect. The third cornerstone is so simple, is use a rubber dam on 100% of your root canal procedures. So that means no rubber dam, no endo. Now, we have spoken to endodontists from all over the world. They all agree, even on children, teenagers, anybody, 100% of root canal procedures should be done with a rubber dam. 2 reasons. 1, it improves the quality of treatment and it protects the patient. And now post-COVID, we also know it reduces the potential viral load in aerosols, even though there's several studies that show that we shouldn't be too worried about that. But we know that a rubber dam is safe. It's been around since the 19th century. And the only reason you're not using it is because you are lazy, complacent, and you're in a rush. So everybody in the Slow Dentistry Network agrees on this. And if you're doing it, by all means, then congratulations and come and join us. We also advocate that it should be used on most direct restorative dentistry. We don't say all, because I'm also a restorative dentist, and I know that some cases, a very few percentage, it's not necessary. But I can tell you that in my practice, over 90% of all direct and even indirect restorative dentistry is done with a rubber dam. And the fourth and final cornerstone is up to 10 minutes of disinfection for the treatment room in between appointments. Now, I'm going to show you how we do that at our clinic, and I'm going to show you while we're watching the video. You know what? Let me just do something here. I'm just going to kill the sound so I can talk over the video while it's playing. And what we do is we take this room disinfection very, very, very serious. So I know for a fact that in many clinics that we're doing, let's say, turntable dentistry, that they weren't even disinfecting the operatory. What they were doing was tidying it up. And quite frankly, I want to know what happened to dentists. And I'm generalizing. There's a lot of great guys out there, but before COVID, it was crazy. And in all effects, slow dentistry shouldn't even need to exist. It shouldn't even be around. But we started seeing, and having traveled to over 50 countries around the world, that dentists were definitely not worried about cross-contamination. And to be clear, I come from, a 90s. I graduated in the 90s when there was an HIV pandemic, and I was incredibly scared about catching HIV or cross-contaminating my patients potentially with hepatitis and HIV. So I've always gone slow. I've always made sure that the room was properly disinfected. I mean, as far back as 2004, we went paper-free. I've been fully digital with X-rays since 1999. Now, listen to why that's important, because, there's no handling of X-rays. And, so I just think that dentists got a little bit lazy. Not everybody, but a huge amount of them. And on the NHS in the UK, before the COVID, I hope things change now, the average time for an appointment was 15 minutes, 1-5. I don't even know how you could possibly manage that, and how nobody was looking at this as a public health crisis. We have a duty to cause no harm to our patients. That is our number one mandate. It goes back 5,000 years to Hippocrates. Do no harm. And if you're not correctly disinfecting your room in between appointments, and that's pre-COVID, then you were doing a disservice to your patients. Your patient's sitting down in your chair that's still warm, and there's blood spats, and there's saliva drops and all of that. And, if you go through your mind's eye, how long it would take to properly disinfect, to use the spray, to, clean the floor, the computer surface, the screens, to change your gloves, etc., etc. That takes time. And you know what? While you're doing it, you're resting a little bit. You're writing your clinical notes. You're preparing for your next patient. You're understanding, hey, let's get this ready. Let's get that ready. And that's probably why there's so much mental illness in dentistry. There's so much stress and suicide in our profession, because we're trying to squeeze 20, 30 patients a day into our practice. And without a doubt, slower is the new safer. So this video will be made free on our platform around the world. It doesn't have any brands in it. It's, as you saw, it's not promoting anything except the way we think things should be done. Again, if you want to sign up, this is the link to get there. So I'm going to ask you guys, what are you going to do to change this industry that we all love and care about? So 4 very simple cornerstones. They don't cost you any money. They can be done in the poorest economy in the world, as well as, the most expensive clinic on the planet, which is definitely not mine. But it requires nothing. It just requires something that we were all trained at university to do, to take care of our clients, to take care of our patients, to take care of our team members. I don't think it's fair for hygienists and assistants to come to work scared because you want to make more money, or the practice owner wants to make more money. And I'm sure people have a lot of questions. So given that, I want to thank you all. And I'd like to talk to Raquel. How do I do that? Raquel?
Here we go, Doc. Hold on. I'll turn you guys in. Let's go ahead and hide the presentation and get our host back. Host is coming back. A, B, C, D, or 1, 2, 3, and here we go.
There you go. So,
I was here all the time.
Like I said, and thank you, Kianor, for helping. Excuse my technical issues. Apparently I'm a super technological dentist, but I still can't master.
Trust me, over the last 30-some days, we have had so many technical issues. I can tell you, we are all dentists, and this is a peer-to-peer project, but we always figure things out,
Yes. So what I wanted to put out there, I could have come on and talk about, all of these amazing things that are out there, but I just think if we don't understand that we have to go back to basics, we have to understand what it is we're doing. And this is just a philosophical, I'm not saying you have to do this. I mean, quite frankly, 50% of the planet was already doing it, and the other 50% wasn't doing it. We're focusing on the ones that weren't doing it. And I understand that in some economies, it's very, very difficult to acquire high-level technology, high-level materials, high-level this, high-level that, and still make a living. But you should never do dentistry at the risk of not being able to talk to your patients before you do a treatment, to do a pain-free dentistry, to put a rubber dam on. Why the hell are people not using rubber dams for root canal? I've got a patient here who went to a top practice in London, no names. The dentist was a prosthodontist, wanted to do a crown, realized there was sensitivity, quickly did a root canal. No rubber dam was used. Why? Because I showed him one. I said, have you ever seen this? He said, no. I said, when did you do this? He said, last year. Now the patient's got 2 massive cysts at the base of that molar, probably were even there before, I don't know. And I'm just like, why wouldn't you use a rubber dam? I mean, and the only explanation I can say is that dentists that don't use it are taking advantage of the patient's ignorance about how important a rubber dam is. So at Slow Dentistry, which is a paid membership platform, much like any other association around the world, we are using these funds to promote to the public, not to dentists, to the general public, through media campaigns, through marketing campaigns, through Google AdWords, 4 very basic rules that are signed patient consent. Pain-free dentistry is a basic human right when you go to the dentist. A rubber dam on all root canals and most direct restorative dentistry, and proper disinfection in between appointments of the operative. And I challenge any one of your 1 million dentists on earth that watch this to come and tell me to my face in a public forum that they shouldn't do that. I challenge them. And then I challenge them to sit down with a speedometer and tell me how they can see 30 patients a day, 40 patients a day, and still do it. Because it's mathematically impossible. So guys, time to stop thinking only about profit, slow things down a little bit, and start focusing on being good. Raquel and I, we work in a poor European country. We're not in a rich European country. I know Raquel. I know how she works. She spends maybe 1 patient a day. And her patients become her family, basically. You can't do that in a rush. And I want everybody watching this, I'm going to tell you guys, I've spoken to leading dentists around the world. I'm very lucky to know all these guys. I don't know one top dentist on the planet that sees more than 6, 7, 8 patients a day.
Yes, I agree.
So, nowhere, there's no literature, there's no evidence that says you have to see 20 patients a day. So the big question I get is, oh, but my boss doesn't allow me to do a rubber dam. Quit. Quit. Oh, but nobody's going to hire me. Man, then I'm sorry, immigrate, leave the country, go somewhere else, change city, start a revolution. Because if you know that a rubber dam is something that's important for everybody's safety, everybody, even it improves the quality of care, and it takes 5-8 minutes to set up. And if you're not allowed to do that, then maybe you need to quit and become a chef, or I don't know, follow your other passions, because it's unacceptable. And you know who's winning? Insurance companies. That's who's winning, because they don't see the difference between a high-quality dentist and a low-quality dentist, and they don't see the difference between somebody who really puts in the extra time to do a good job or doesn't. There's no incentive from financial institutions to practice slow dentistry at all. It's actually counterproductive for them. Mm-hmm. So we've got to stand up for this, and I'm using my platform. I've proven I have a rock-solid TV, and I'm talking about something that nobody can argue with. And I'm very passionate about this, and we've got followers. We had a 2,000% growth of the website, slowdentistry.com, in the last 40 days. We're now in over 20-something countries, and help us with this movement, because the more members we have, the more finance we have to market to the consumer, and hopefully make more awareness for the general public that when they go to a clinic, that is your competition, because we know it's expensive. It's more expensive to do quality dentistry. And I'm talking about a hygiene. So where you're not doing any technology, okay? Mm-hmm. A person who's doing gold standard hygiene, which is 10 minutes of disinfection in between the room because we know it generates a lot of aerosols. Four-handed procedure, so you've got your assistant doing aspiration, doing the complete protocol, getting everything out there. And we know a lot of people are doing hygiene in 20 minutes. And they're going, the patient goes, that's hurting me. They stop. Why? Because they've got deep buildup, tartaro, deep build. And to remove that, they probably have to give an anesthetic, but they don't want to give an anesthetic because that's going to take time. So what do? They leave it there. And their patient goes away saying, man, my hygienist is amazing, does it in 25 minutes, no pain whatsoever. She's super smart, super nice. Oh, on top of it, it's really cheap. That's marketing.
That job is not done.
So I just think that we owe it to ourselves to slow down, maybe charge a little premium. If you were used to doing 15 patients a day or 20 patients a day, and you now want to see 10 or 8, which is the ideal number. I've been seeing no more than 8 a day for 20 years. I and anybody on my team, that for a fact. So, and that means, like, for example, if somebody comes in for a 10-minute appointment, that chair is empty for 50 minutes. That's just how we do it. And that's why people on my team are happy. There's no stress. It creates a better environment. We can do research. We can study. We can learn how to work with technology. We can catch up on emails and all of that. And you create a healthy ecosystem in your practice. So anyway, that's how we're doing it. And that's all I have to say. So thanks, Raquel.
So thank you, Miguel. It was really nice presentation, very incisive. Thank you. And we have some questions here. Dr. Triveni Padal is saying, wonderful presentation. And how do you manage time to make it on time for every appointment and not like 5 minutes later? Because it's probably many years of experience doing this kind of philosophy. But how can you manage with your team to
Very easy. Very easy. I have a gun and I shoot anybody who's late. No, I'm joking. It's done with management. So I'm actually very proud that we have a game in our clinic that if the waiting time of a patient is over 4 minutes, we get angry. Okay, 4-minute waiting time average. Sometimes it's 10, and I'll explain why. We never, unless there's a medical emergency, start a treatment on the same day. Never.
Mm-hmm.
So when a patient comes to our practice, we start with some people. We start with CBCT, and people go, "Oh, you're doing a CBCT for all your patients?" Yes, because it's digital. It has almost no radiation. And now I'm not a dentist. I'm a medical dentist because I'm looking into the sinus. I'm looking into the bone. I'm looking into bone volume, relationship to the nerve. So I like to say that a CBCT turns a dentist into a doctor. So stop complaining that you're not a doctor and start using CBCTs in your diagnostic. But anyway, I've been doing that for 12 years. We don't charge extra for it because I want to see further. And then we will sit with our patient and we'll explain everything. And that's the foundation of No Half Smiles. And then one thing is a quote, how many things you need to do, how much it is going to cost. And then if the patient accepts the treatment, then we do a treatment plan, because a treatment plan is not a quote. And the vital part of a treatment plan is treatment sequencing. And that's when I sit down with my team and I want to know how much everybody's going to take, with about a 20 to 30% margin for error extra. So if a guy says, look, I can do that root canal in 1 hour, we'll book 1.5. Yeah. If he says I can do that, so if it's minimal complicated, we'll book the whole afternoon. So here at the White Clinic, we're low volume. We see very few patients a day, and we do a lot of things on that patient because it's like building a house. You don't build a house room by room. You build it phase by phase. So what we'll do is we'll do the entire phase in one go. So, and again, for simpler procedures like an oral hygiene that's standardized, if a patient comes late, that appointment finishes on time. Do you understand? So
because you have margin.
they are advised, if you show up late, that comes off. We don't push it forward to an hour. And I don't care if that's the Pope or whoever. We always start on time, our standard 1 hour appointments.
Yeah, and I think it's, you always have to program everything with time between, because
You gotta-
sometimes
You got to
it's impossible.
respect it.
About your concept about slower is the new safer. I agree that, because I'm doing this philosophy also for many years. Regarding the slow dentistry concept, I think you, as you told during the lecture, you don't see so many differences between pre-COVID and post-COVID, at least in the time of consultation, because you were already working like that. But for many clinics, as you told, that are working with insurance, that unfortunately some doctors are pressured to work like in 20, it's impossible to do quality dentistry. It's
Raquel,
not even humanly possible. I
I
agree with you.
I love you. I'm a married man, but I love you because you're profound.
He's so funny and passionate too. Funny and passionate. Love
Raquel
traits.
you're a really good person, Raquel. You're good, and you know, moral values are something that's lacking in almost all around the world. People are very self-centered, and a lot of people have lost sight to what good values are. And I think as doctors, our primary value should be ethics, right? And so one of the foundations of ethics is, if there are rules, you stick to the rules. You've got your social ethics, but to be an ethical doctor, that means you need to follow the latest scientific evidence. All right? And if you are going to follow the latest scientific evidence in any form of dentistry, I would say that today, 80% of dentists globally shouldn't touch patients. And it's not their fault. It's the institutions they work for. It's the government of the. So we failed as dentists. There's only 2 million of us, or 2.5 around the world. You know, India produces 35,000 dentists a year. It's crazy. But I don't see any group for that matter, promoting what quality dentistry is. Is there a financial reason for that? Because how is it acceptable that an insurance company doesn't allow a dentist even time to calm his brain down a little bit, to think? And if, and a lawyer, for example, a difference between a good lawyer and a bad lawyer is a good lawyer knows the law
part
and spends time to think. He invests time on you, right? And a bad lawyer just lies his way through things, and then you end up, so everybody knows that. But at the end of the day, a lawyer doesn't produce anything. There's nothing to show for it except, written stuff and words. As dentists, we have to interpret the science. We have to analyze. We have to have critical thinking. We have to select A or B. We have to select different types of material, different types of protocols. We have to write down all of the legal implications of this. We have to talk. Why are we seeing 30, 40 patients a day?
We are seeing people. We are not seeing machines or
exactly. And the reason why in most countries around the world, dentists were put at the same level as hair salons, like in the UK, is because the government didn't see the difference, because the majority of bad dentistry are winning.
Yeah, that's true.
Bad dentistry is winning. It's winning. And if you go around, do you know that, for example, in America, richest country in the world, only, I think it's 15% of dental clinics have a CBCT in them. It's like, you start asking, but the guy drives a Jaguar. He drives a Mercedes, a Porsche. It's like, hey, stop. Lifestyle doesn't buy you peace of mind. You've got to be, man, have your quality in the clinic, not at home, because that's what gives you longevity. So when I see dentists very stressed right now about, oh my God, how am I going to be safe? It's like, dude, you should have been safe before. So I'm not that sad for you, because you put profit over good sense, because you were trained. You were trained for these 4 steps at school. You were trained these 4 steps at school. And I've had people come to me and say, oh, but Dr. Stanley, my boss doesn't allow me to quit. Nobody puts a gun to your head and says, you have to do bad dentistry. I'm sorry, Raquel. No dentist. You are a sovereign entity, an individual. Even your boss can't oblige you to do bad dentistry. You can say, and you leave.
When you don't like the place where you work, you leave. I did that when I was younger because I didn't agree with the philosophy of the clinic.
And I feel bad that people, you've got to provide, people are going through financial difficulties. You've got to make a living. I understand that. But if you're making that at the expense of just basic decency, it's not fair. That's why slow dentistry is growing, and the good guys are coming together. And as we grow, we'll have more capacity to invest in marketing to the consumer so they understand. And these 4 steps cost no money whatsoever.
Yeah, it takes time, but no money. I agree. And also, as like you said, I also work for other people, but at certain time, if I didn't agree with the philosophy of the clinic, I stepped out because I think my ethics and my name are much more important than giving my face, my knowledge for something that I don't agree, that I don't, follow. So, of course, I think it's difficult now because we have so many dentists and there's a lot of competition. But if you want to be seen as a dental medical doctor, that is our degree, you should behave like one.
100%. And again,
and the first consultation, you have to see the patient as a whole, not only the tooth that is complaining. You have to see all the medical issues, the articulations, the muscle, everything. Because many times the patient has some other issues that he doesn't know, and you are the first one to contact and to see with these bright lights on the patient. So
100%.
you should be sometimes the first doctor to tell the patient, you probably have this or that, please do this exam. To do that, you have to have time. I can tell you that my first consultation is the minimum 90 minutes minimum. Okay. And I always do or CBCT or OPT.
And perhaps
always medical diagnostics, always diagnostics, full diagnostics of teeth, soft tissue, articulations, muscles, everything. And then
you're an international star because, and I know you practice in a place that has a lot of dentists.
Yeah, and it's very small. I'm working very small.
You're on stage. Maybe there's a reason why you're on stage and your work is consistently high quality, because you see fewer patients, and maybe you charge a little premium for that, but treating
I charge probably a little bit more, but I spend like 3 or 4 times more time with the patient. So the patient, when he says it's worth it because I feel safe. I feel that I'm being seen by a dental medical doctor, not by a dentist. I think that's the difference. We have to behave like doctors.
And now, after COVID, safety is the new, that's what patients want.
Yeah.
I'd like to interject on this topic, ladies and gentlemen, because I've spent the last 10 years fighting corporations that hire dentists and force them to produce more and more. And I'm very, very excited to have heard this presentation from Miguel, and I admire you for your passion and stepping up and talking about the things that nobody else wants to talk about, and your slow dentistry movement. Friends and colleagues from all across the world, let's support Dr. Miguel and help him to help our profession. Our mission on our side is to devoid our industry of all of these third parties with the peer-to-peer mechanism of setting up fake companies and hiring young doctors and pushing them at morning huddles to produce, and then having one dentist name on 40, 50 offices and all the legal, it's actually legal stuff that goes on in our industry. Starts with the insurance companies, the DSOs, a lot of them that are not dentist owned. Most of us in the US, for example, have to be owned. It's a big disaster. They took a profession that we loved so much, the patient-doctor relationship, and turned it into a marketing function. Nobody wants to talk about it. Everybody's looking the other way. And Miguel put a lot of this stuff on the table today for us. I just wanted to commend you on your courage and commend you on what you're doing for the profession of dentistry. I'm going to check myself back out. Please continue.
Thank you, Keanu. Thank you so much. That was a great jump in. But Raquel, that's it. And I've got to get back because I like to be on time for everybody. We've spent a beautiful hour together. And, you know, I would ask anybody if they want to reach out, get in touch with slowdentistry.com.
Yeah,
and
it can be found everywhere, so it's not difficult to contact with you. And I think one thing that you said that I think was really brilliant, maybe this post-COVID way of working, maybe most of the dentists will have some free time to be, you know, more less stressful and be more healthy mentally, because as you said, we are one of the most stressful professions in the world. So maybe sometimes bad things happen, but good things will come after. So I think it's really interesting, the perspective that you are seeing, that if you do it a little bit different, maybe it's better for you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Raquel, and thank you, Dr. Stanley, for your time. We really appreciate it.
I appreciate Keanu. Thank you for setting this up, and congratulations. I mean, what you did was the first, and it's amazing. So congratulations. You know,
our duty to the profession, the duty to our profession.
You know what you. My hats off, man. Hats off. Thank you very, very much. Okay. Bye.
Thank you, guys. Have a nice day at the office.
Thank
Take care.
Thank you.